The grand chamber of the Galactic Union hummed with tension as hundreds of alien delegates took their seats in the tiered amphitheater. The walls, a shimmering blend of living metal and crystalline panels, pulsed faintly in rhythm with the station's ancient power core. In the center of the chamber, beneath the oppressive gaze of the progenitor seal, a relic of the long-extinct species that had founded the Union, stood Ambassador Ethan Draven. He adjusted the lapel of his tailored navy suit, the fabric a deliberate nod to humanity's simplicity in a galaxy obsessed with grandeur. His voice rang out, firm yet measured, carrying across the chamber. Esteemed delegates, for over 1,000,000 years, this council has maintained peace, not through trust, but through fear. That fear has served its purpose, but cracks are forming. External threats grow bolder, and yet we remain divided. If we do not act now, we doom ourselves to oblivion. A ripple of discontent swept through the chamber. Ethan didn't flinch. He knew his words would provoke, he intended them to. From the Vrax delegation's alcove, Archon Zelthor's cold, piercing voice sliced through the murmurs. Bold words from a species that has been part of this council for barely a heartbeat. Perhaps humanity should focus on learning humility before lecturing civilizations that have endured for millennia. Scattered applause echoed from Zelthor's allies. Ethan locked eyes with the Archon, his expression steady. Humility, Archon Zelthor, Ethan countered, is knowing your weaknesses and working to overcome them. Arrogance is mistaking stagnation for strength. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices, some supporting Ethan, others condemning him. The progenitor seal flared briefly, signaling order, and the commotion subsided. Ethan continued, his tone unyielding. I am not here to stoke division. I am here to propose unity, a coalition of resources, technology, and military strength to counter the threats that endanger us all. Humanity has much to offer, but we cannot do this alone. A faint hum resonated from the walls, a subtle warning from the chamber's ancient systems to conclude. Ethan inclined his head and stepped back, his gaze scanning the delegates. He could see doubt, interest, and in Zelthor's case, thinly veiled disdain. As the next speaker began, Ethan returned to his seat beside Commander Lila Ardent. Her military uniform contrasted sharply with the diplomatic attire around them, her piercing blue eyes scanning the room. You didn't hold back, she muttered. I wasn't trying to win a popularity contest, Ethan replied. We need to plant the idea. Change starts with discomfort. Before Lila could respond, the room plunged into chaos. A sharp, metallic screech filled the air as the ornate dais at the chamber's center splintered apart. From within, a sleek, insect-like device emerged, its body bristling with jagged edges and pulsating energy. Ethan's instincts kicked in. Get down! The device shot forward with impossible speed, targeting him. Security drones activated too late. A blinding surge of energy struck Ethan in the chest, throwing him backward. He hit the ground hard, his vision dimming as the world spun. Ambassador down! Lila shouted, drawing her weapon. She fired at the device, shattering it into pieces, but the damage was done. Ethan lay motionless, blood pooling beneath him. Delegates screamed, some fleeing, others frozen in shock. Zelthor's gaze lingered on Ethan's fallen form for a fraction too long before shifting to the commotion. Order must be restored. Zelthor's voice boomed, but there was no mistaking the satisfaction in their tone. Medics rushed to Ethan's side, and Lila crouched beside him. Stay with me, Ethan! She barked, but his breathing was shallow, his pulse fading. Secure the chamber! She ordered the human security team. As the medics worked, Lila noticed something peculiar. Ethan's neural implant, a standard diplomatic enhancement, flickered with faint blue light. It shouldn't have activated under these circumstances. The medics loaded Ethan onto a stretcher and whisked him away, leaving a shaken delegation behind. Hours later, in a secure room aboard the human flagship Unity's Edge, Lila stood before a holographic projection of Dr. Elias Novak, a cybernetics expert back on Earth. I need answers, she demanded, her voice sharp. What happened to his neural implant? Dr. Novak frowned, tapping on his console. Ambassador Draven had a unique modification, a classified failsafe. In the event of critical injury, his consciousness could be temporarily preserved in an AI subroutine. But this shouldn't have activated without proper authorization. What are you saying? Lila asked, a knot forming in her stomach. I'm saying Ambassador Draven might still be aware. But we need to access the implant to confirm. Before Lila could respond, a secure line on her wrist communicator buzzed. She hesitated, then answered. Commander Ardent, came a distorted voice, unmistakably Ethan's. It's me. Lila's breath caught. Ethan? How? There's no time to explain. The attack wasn't random. It was orchestrated. Someone in the council wanted me dead. You need to uncover who, or this entire union will crumble. The line cut out, leaving Lila staring at her communicator. She turned to Dr. Novak, her expression steely. Prepare whatever equipment you need. We're going to get him back. Back in the Grand Chamber, Archon Zelthor convened with their allies in a private alcove. The humans will scramble to recover. One of Zelthor's subordinates hissed. Do you think they'll suspect us? Let them, Zelthor replied smoothly. By the time they piece it together, the Council will already see them as a liability. This is only the beginning. As the flagship drifted through the void, Lila gazed out at the stars, her mind racing. Ethan's words echoed in her head, uncover who? She clenched her fists. We'll find them, Ethan. And when we do, they'll regret underestimating humanity. The distant glow of the dying blue star illuminated Unity's edge, a fragile beacon of hope in a galaxy on the brink. The conference room aboard Unity's edge was bathed in sterile white light, the hum of the ship's engines a faint backdrop. Commander Lila Arden leaned forward, her elbows on the table, as the holographic projection of Dr. Elias Novak flickered to life. Beside her sat Lieutenant Kale Varys, an intelligence operative with a sharp eye and a knack for reading between the lines. Status? Lila's tone was clipped. Dr. Novak adjusted his glasses. Ethan's consciousness is stable within the implant's AI subroutine. I've remotely accessed fragments of his memory, enough to confirm his suspicions. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. The assassination wasn't random. The device was tailored to bypass security systems unique to the Vrax Syndicate's technology. Kale's eyebrows lifted slightly. Convenient. Zelthor's fingerprints are all over this, but they'll deny it without something solid. Lila nodded, her mind racing. What else? Ethan managed to store sensory data from the moments leading up to the attack. Novak continued. It's fragmented, but it shows anomalies in the energy signature of the assassination device. I'm sending the details now. The holographic table lit up with a burst of light, displaying an intricate web of overlapping energy readings. This alloy, Novak pointed to a highlighted trace, is only found on Vrax-controlled worlds. Combine that with the activation protocol, standard Vrax sabotage tactics. That's motive and method, Kale said, leaning back. But not enough to present to the Council. Zelthor will claim we fabricated this to deflect blame. Lila exhaled slowly, her jaw tightening. Then we need more than scraps. Something undeniable. Kale smirked faintly. Good thing I know just the place to start. The Unity's edge transitioned into slipstream space, its engines roaring as the stars stretched into thin streaks of light. Kale stood in the dim glow of the intelligence bay, briefing a small strike team. The Vrax Syndicate operates a covert communications hub on a barren moon, designated CX-47, he began, gesturing to a rotating hologram of the desolate landscape. If Zelthor ordered the hit, there'll be records, transmissions, payment trails, something we can use to corner them. It's a fortress, one operative interjected. How are we getting in? With stealth and precision, Kale replied. This isn't a smash and grab. We infiltrate, extract what we need, and leave before they realize we're there. The fewer bodies, the better. Lila stepped forward. I'll lead the op. Kale shot her a sharp glance. With respect, Commander, your face is known. If they see you, they won't. She cut him off. This mission is too important to leave to chance. Let's move. The moon CX-47 was a desolate sphere of jagged rock and sulphurous winds. The human team's stealth shuttle descended silently, its hull camouflaged to blend into the barren surface. Inside the shuttle, Lila checked her gear, lightweight armor, a plasma pistol holstered at her side, and a small device designed to interface with alien systems. Kale sat across from her, running diagnostics on a portable jammer. You don't seem the type for fieldwork, Kale remarked, breaking the tense silence. Lila smirked faintly. I wasn't always in diplomacy. Before the uniform, I ran Black Ops. Let's just say I know my way around. Kale nodded, respecting the steel in her voice. Then let's hope we don't need to find out how rusty you are. The team disembarked under cover of darkness, moving swiftly across the uneven terrain toward the Syndicate facility. Its entrance was a heavily fortified hatch embedded in a cliffside, guarded by patrol drones that hovered like silent predators. Kale knelt behind a boulder, his hand raised in a silent signal. Two operatives crept forward, deploying small EMP charges. The drones flickered and dropped, their metallic shells clattering softly against the rock. Clear, Kale whispered. Lila moved to the hatch, attaching the interface device. A series of alien glyphs appeared on its screen, and she navigated them with practiced ease. Doors opening, she murmured. The hatch slid aside with a low hiss, revealing a dimly lit corridor that smelled faintly of ozone. The team moved in, their steps silent on the metallic floor. Inside, the facility was eerily quiet, its sterile walls lined with pulsating conduits. Kale gestured toward a terminal at the far end of the corridor. That's our target. As Lila and Kale approached, the silence broke. A sharp alarm blared, and the facility's lights shifted to an angry red. Guess we tripped something, Kale muttered, drawing his weapon. No time for subtlety, Lila said, connecting the interface device to the terminal. Cover me. Kale and the other operatives took defensive positions as Vrax guards stormed into the corridor, their sleek armor reflecting the crimson glow. Plasma bolts erupted, sizzling through the air. Lila's fingers danced over the interface as she bypassed layers of security. Her heart pounded, but her focus was razor sharp. Almost there, she muttered. Kale fired a precision shot, taking down a guard advancing on their flank. Make it faster! With a final keystroke, Lila downloaded the data and yanked the device free. Got it! Move! Kale barked. The team retreated through the corridor, firing in controlled bursts. As they reached the exit, Kale activated the portable jammer, scrambling the facility's tracking systems. They burst into the open air, sprinting for the shuttle as plasma bolts rained down around them. The ramp closed just as they launched into the sky, leaving behind a furious Syndicate outpost. Back aboard the Unity's Edge, Lila and Kale reviewed the data in the ship's secure command center. Ethan's holographic form flickered into existence beside them, his expression calm but intense. What did we find? Ethan asked. Kale tapped the console, displaying a series of decrypted messages. Payment logs, troop movements, and encrypted orders, all traced back to Zelthor's inner circle. This proves they orchestrated the assassination, Ethan said. But it's not enough to force their hand. We need to link this directly to the Council Chamber attack. There's more, Lila interjected, pointing to a file marked with a high-priority tag. She opened it, revealing schematics of the assassination device and a transmission between Zelthor and a shadowy figure. The human must be removed, Lila read aloud, her voice heavy with anger. Execute the plan. No mistakes. Ethan's gaze hardened. This is it. With this, we can expose them. Kale leaned back, a grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. Not bad for a day's work. Lila's expression remained grim. We've bought ourselves time, but Zelthor won't sit idle. We need to move fast. If we don't, Earth, and the Union, won't survive the storm they're about to unleash. Ethan's hologram flickered, his voice resolute. Then let's end this. Together. The stars beyond the viewport glimmered like scattered fragments of hope as the ship prepared to face the battle ahead. The Grand Chamber was in uproar. The hum of alien voices was deafening as news of the human strike on the Vrax Syndicate's facility spread like wildfire. Delegates argued, alliances shifted, and accusations flew across the amphitheater. Above it all, the progenitor seal pulsed faintly, a silent witness to the chaos below. Commander Lila Arden strode into the chamber, her uniform crisp, her expression steely. Behind her walked Lieutenant Cale Varys and a pair of human security officers, each carrying data drives containing the evidence that could shatter the fragile equilibrium of the Galactic Union. Whispers rippled through the room as the human delegation took their place. Across the chamber, Archon Zelthor's gaze was cold, calculating. They leaned back in their seat, flanked by allies, their claws tapping idly on the armrest. Lila activated her comm link, and Ethan Draven's hologram appeared beside her. Gasps filled the chamber as the sight of the supposedly dead ambassador sent shockwaves through the assembly. Ethan's projection turned to the delegates, his voice calm but resonant. Esteemed members of the Council, I stand before you not as a ghost, but as proof of humanity's resilience. The attack on my life was not a random act of violence, it was a calculated move to destabilize the Union. And I have the evidence to prove it. The chamber fell into a tense silence as Lila stepped forward, inserting one of the data drives into the central console. The holographic display flared to life, projecting intercepted messages, schematics, and payment logs linking the assassination device to the Vrax Syndicate. This device, Lila began, gesturing to a detailed rendering of the weapon, was constructed using alloys and technology unique to the Vrax. Furthermore, encrypted orders traced back to Archon Zelthor's inner circle explicitly called for the removal of Ambassador Draven. A murmur spread through the chamber, skepticism mingled with outrage. Zelthor rose slowly, their voice dripping with disdain. These accusations are as baseless as they are desperate. Humanity has always sought to sow discord, and this fabrication is no different. You expect us to believe that these conveniently obtained files are genuine? Cale smirked from the sidelines. You sound nervous, Archon. Zelthor's eyes narrowed. Careful, Lieutenant. Baseless provocations won't save your fledgling species. Ethan's hologram flickered, his tone cutting through the tension. The evidence speaks for itself, Archon. But if that isn't enough... Lila inserted a second drive, and the display shifted to a video feed. The grainy footage showed the assassination device being armed, with a Vrax technician inputting commands. The audio captured their voice clearly. For the Archon. The human will fall today. The chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, some turning on the Vrax delegation with accusatory glares. Zelthor's composure cracked, their claws gripping the edge of their podium. This is a violation of Council protocol. How dare humanity infiltrate our sovereign facilities? You dare speak of protocol after commissioning an assassination? Lila shot back. Enough! The voice of Supreme Moderator Yalnir boomed across the chamber, silencing the discord. The towering, multi-limbed figure glared down from their elevated seat. The evidence presented is compelling. Archon Zelthor, you stand accused of orchestrating an attack against a council member, a grave violation of our founding principles. Zelthor's expression darkened. This council has always been a sham, a stage for weaker species to play at power. The Vrax have carried this union on our backs for centuries, and we will not grovel before lesser beings. Ethan's hologram stood unwavering. The strength of the union lies not in domination, but in unity. You seek to divide us, Archon, but today you have only united us against your treachery. Zelthor's claws tapped a hidden device on their podium, and the chamber's lighting flickered. The Vrax delegation rose in unison, their guards drawing weapons. Enough of this charade, Zelthor snarled. The Union is a relic, and it ends today. A pulse of energy surged through the chamber as concealed turrets emerged from the walls, targeting the delegates. Screams echoed as chaos erupted. Get down! Lila shouted, drawing her plasma pistol. The human security team moved swiftly, shielding the other delegates as the turrets unleashed a barrage of fire. Kale ducked behind a pillar, firing precision shots to disable the automated defenses. Ethan's hologram flickered beside Lila. "There's a manual override at the moderator's console. Shut it down!" Lila sprinted across the chamber, weaving through the chaos as plasma bolts seared past her. She reached the console, only to find it heavily shielded. "Kale, I need a diversion," she called out. "On it!" Kale lobbed an EMP grenade toward the turrets, temporarily disabling them. "You've got 30 seconds!" Lila accessed the console, her fingers flying over the alien interface. The shield disengaged, and she slammed the override button. The turrets powered down, leaving the chamber in a tense silence. Zelthor's forces regrouped, their weapons trained on Lila and Kale. "This isn't over," Zelthor hissed. Ethan's voice rang out. "Oh, but it is." A squadron of Galactic Union enforcers stormed the chamber, their advanced armor gleaming under the flickering lights. They quickly disarmed the Vrax guards and surrounded Zelthor. "Archon Zelthor," Yalnir declared, "you are hereby detained for crimes against the Union. Guards, escort them to the detention block." Zelthor glared at Lila as they were dragged away. "You may have won this battle, human, but your kind will never last." Lila holstered her weapon, her expression unyielding. "We'll see about that." As the chamber was secured, Lila returned to the human delegation's alcove, where Ethan's hologram awaited her. "Well done," Ethan said, his tone tinged with relief. "It's not over yet," Lila replied. "The Council is shaken, and the Union will need time to recover. But at least we've removed one threat." Kale joined them, a rare smile on his face. "And sent a message: humanity isn't to be underestimated." Ethan's hologram flickered faintly. "Humanity has always been underestimated. But today, we've shown the galaxy that we belong. Together, we can build a future where no species has to stand alone." Lila nodded, gazing out at the stars beyond the chamber's crystalline walls. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, hope burned brightly. "Let's make it happen," she said quietly. The progenitor seal pulsed one final time, as if acknowledging the dawn of a new era.